Good afternoon, everyone. We are the fourth presenter, and today we will be going to present to you our discussion, which is entitled Managing Labor Relations. Flow of the topics for today's discussion. The first topic is the history of labor relations, which will be reported by Ms. Manabat. Next is the definition and the importance of labor relations, which will be reported by Ms. Mandamiento. Next is the role, the purpose, and the agencies in labor relations, which will be reported by Ms. Legson. Next is the 3 labor relations process and its 7 benefits, which will be reported by Ms. Navarro. And lastly is the labor relations responsible for managing, which will be reported by Mr. Medino. Our learning objectives for today's discussion. First is to summarize the history of labor relations. Next is to identify and discuss the labor relations. Next is to discuss the importance of role of labor relations. Next is to identify the purpose and agencies of labor relations. Next is to discuss the 3 labor relations process and its 7 benefits. And lastly is to identify the responsible of managing labor relations. The history of labor relations. During and after the Industrial Revolution in the United States, workers saw a need to organize to combat the growing trend of unfair pay and unsafe working conditions. Before 1935, only 10% of the U.S. workforce was unionized because there were no labor regulations in place that protected unionized laborers. In 1933, a bill was submitted to Congress that would help prevent unfair labor practices on the part of employers. This bill passed and became known as the National Labor Relations Act. The passage of this law allowed workers across industries to unionize with the interest of protecting their rights. As labor relations developed and grew with changing workforces, amendments were made to place restrictions on unions so that they could not manipulate or extort union members. This included free speech clauses and strike limitations. In modern times, labor relations pertain to issues such as whether an individual should be considered an employee or a contractor. Similar to non-traditional work situations are common areas of debate. Most recently, there is a focus on employee rights in non-unionized work environments. Many industries have restrictions on their ability to unionize, and there is some debate over the protections that non-unionized workers are allowed to receive. This is a huge point of contention in labor relations now because only 7% of the private sector is unionized.
So let's go to the first question. What is the study of labor relations? So the labor relations task is usually related to things like audits, therapy, and disciplinary measures. But this is not its leading role. This vital HR aspect acts a bridge between management and staff, bridging differences that are often daunting. Labor relations provide management and individual workers a balanced approach to support through various forms of engagement. It includes problem solving, consultation, instruction, and therapy to defend their separate interests and foster a more cohesive work environment. Labor relations are a field of study with different significances according to the text in which they are used. It is a subdiscipline in labor history globally and explores the broad meaning, the human relationship to employment, or how this applies to social inequality problems. It contains specifically unchecked, traditional, and non-Western modes of practice. Labor relations are a sub-area of industrial relations in academia, while academics from much field including sociology, societies, culture, law, and policy often analyze labor unions and working groups. Employment relations in action are often a sub-area of administration of human resources. Workshops typically cover the history of employment, labor law, labor organization, negotiation, contracts, and significant contemporary subjects. Moving on to the next question, what is labor management relation? So according to Behrens et al. 2004, labor management relations improve processes within a company to change the collective activity more. Labor management relations are the most complicated set of relations that any HR manager has to deal with. Efficient maintenance of labor relations helps the HR managers in developing a harmonious environment within the organization, which in turn helps the organization in effectively achieving its goals and objectives. Well-managed labor relations provide a competitive advantage to the organization by negating the hassles arising out of labor or union-related issues and conflicts. In connection to labor relations is defined as the relationship between an employer and a union or labor organization. It refers to the relationship between management and labor and includes the maintenance of any labor agreements. Human resource is the most crucial resource of a company. It is a necessary resource that cannot be changed or removed from a company. And according to our research, company can function without its manager sometimes, but it cannot run without its proper or sufficient human resources. So laborers are like the stepping stone of a company. Without the stepping stone, the company cannot establish itself. Running in the market is an impossible thought to carry. They might be in the lower level of the company structure, but they are the highest priority of the company. Laborers are directly responsible for the growth of a company. They are to be taken with utmost care of the smooth and efficient functioning of the company. It is essential that for capable production, laborers are treated as a family, because when they feel that they are part of the company, they will work more wholeheartedly in providing excellent results. Labor relations ensure all this in the most smooth, efficient, and result-driven manner. The high-level personalities of an organization may find it challenging to keep a personal touch with every employee or labor working in their company. Therefore, they appoint a human resource manager in every company who is responsible for managing all the human resources of a company. The HRM looks into the manner of salary distribution. Managing labor relations is one of the key functions of HRM. They need to ensure that laborers are satisfied with the management and they are motivated. They should ensure that the hard-earned money of the laborers in the company is paid on time. Anyone seeking any help regarding raise or issues that need direct guidance can easily approach the HRM in the company. It is how a company manages its employees and laborers. So let's go to the importance of labor relations. Again, human resource or laborer are being the most crucial resource of the company. So a company must effectively manage them, because if the worker is happy, the company will be growing and making more revenues. The whole production function is dependent on the workers, and if they aren't confident with the company, the product will stop, the profits will come down, and as a result, the company will get stuck. The satisfaction of the employees and laborers are a matter of great concern as rather the turnover of laborers and employers are directly dependent on satisfaction. Turnover at a high and regular rate creates a negative image of a company in the market. The investors will never want to invest in a company that has a high standard of employee turnovers. And an investor is like a powerhouse for the company's survival. That is the reason why big industrial companies or manufacturing units where a high amount of laborers work together in the production process allows the employees to form individual labor unions among them so as to improve industrial relations. It is the best possible step of a company in reducing turnover rates and effectively manages its human resources.
Hello everyone, I am Jenny Faith Degson and my topic is all about role in labor relations. Labor relations play a significant role in the effective establishment and channelization of different units that can ensure employee engagement, employee satisfaction, and employee retention. Labor union management. In multinational or big industrial or manufacturing companies, it is not possible for the laborers to directly approach the higher level authorities. Therefore, without the help of mutual understanding, they form a body of unions. It helps in creating a smooth pattern of management in the company. Labor relationship. Every company has a unique group of laborers or employees. It should be managed while keeping in mind their requirements, benefits, needs, and etc. A company can satisfy the people working in the company and maintain a healthy relationship with them. Labor union organization is a threat to the company. A company is a sole governing body that has the right to make and take decisions. The company also relies on governmental policies for their options. In such case, when the laborers demand to form unions among them, it becomes difficult for the companies to permit such formations. Formation of the labor union through labor relations management. There are two ways for forming a labor union. It can be created using the power and support of various informal groups present inside the company or through governmental support from the labor union of the national level. Let us now have a look upon different purposes of labor relation management, and these are ensuring harmonious relations between workforce and management and using the law where needed, legal representation and implementation of labor rules, labor law and regulations, offering physical facility and ensuring industrial peace, providing effective communication system and the organization, initiating the right organizational and environmental changes, reduction in industrial actions such as lockouts, strikes, protests, and etc. Lastly, and ensuring organizational stability, effectiveness, and stability. So that was all about labor relations and their importance in channelizing a successful organization. Inclusion of labor relations strategies in an organizational plays a crucial role in ensuring effective communication between workforce and management. It also plays a significant part in increasing employee satisfaction, employee engagement, employee motive, and overall performance of the organization. Agencies in labor relation. The National Labor Relations Board or NLRB is one of the agencies. It serves to protect the rights of private sector employees to join with or without union to improve wages and working conditions.
This agency enforces the National Labor Relations Act and enforces the prevention and remedy of unfair labor practices committed by private sector employers.
Aside from the NLRB, three other major federal agencies assist in labor relations, and these are National Mediation Board, maintains the flow of interstate commerce in the airline and railway industries. Federal Labor Relations Authority provides leadership in establishing policies and guidance related to federal sector labor management issues. And lastly, Federal Mediation and Conciliation Service. It mediates collective bargaining negotiations.
The labor relations process that produces a union management relationship consists of three phases. First is union organizing, second is negotiating a collective agreement, and lastly is the administering or enforcing the collective agreement.
In phase 1 of the labor relations process, a non-union employer becomes unionized through an organizing campaign. The campaign starts either internally, by unhappy employees, or externally, by a union that has picked the employer for an organizing drive. Once workers and the union have made contact, a union organizer will try to convince the majority, if not all, of the workers to sign membership cards. By obtaining signed membership cards, the union is able to provide the labor relation with proof of the workers' interest in having the union represent them. In many cases, employers resist the organizing campaign by speaking out against unions in letters, posters, and employee assemblies. However, it is illegal for employers to interfere directly with the organizing campaign or to coerce, intimidate, or threaten employees into not joining the union. Once the union has a sufficient number of signed membership cards, it submits an application to the applicable Labor Relations Board to be certified as an exclusive bargaining agent for a specific unit of employees. After receiving the union's application for certification, the Labor Relations Board notifies the affected parties, the employer and the employees, and schedules a time and a date for eligible employees to vote on whether they want to be represented by the trade union or not. Supervisors and managers cannot participate in this voting process. The vote is conducted by an officer of the Labor Relations Board. Both the union and employer are entitled to have scrutineers present during the voting process. If the majority of the employees vote for the union, the Labor Relations Board certifies the union as an exclusive bargaining agent for the employees who have been designated as eligible voters. The employer then has to bargain with the union over wages, hours of work, and other terms of employment and come to an agreement on these terms. The resulting agreement is often referred to as the collective agreement. Phase 2. Negotiations. The negotiations that take place between the employer and the union in order to reach an agreement is generally referred to as collective bargaining. Typically, both management and union negotiation teams are made up of a few people. A person on each side acts as the chief spokesperson. Bargaining begins with union and management negotiators setting out a list of contract issues that will be discussed, with the union and the employer meeting face-to-face and exchanging written proposals. Demands, proposals, and counter-proposals are exchanged during several rounds of bargaining in the labor relations process. Any contract that results from the negotiations between the union and the employer must be approved by the top management and ratified by the union members. Once the agreement is approved by both sides, the collective agreement becomes a legally binding contract that covers such issues as union security, management rights, wages, benefits, and job security. Phase 3. Enforcement. The union's main means of enforcing the collective agreement is the grievance procedure outlined in the collective agreement. A grievance is a formal complaint by an employee or the union that management has violated some part of the contract. Under a typical contract, the employee starts by presenting the grievance to the supervisor, either in person or in writing. If the problem cannot be solved at this point, the grievance is put in writing. Employee, one or more union officials, the supervisor, and perhaps the plant manager then discuss the grievance. Matters still cannot resolve, another meeting takes place with higher level representatives of both parties present. If top management and the local union president are unable to resolve the grievance, it proceeds to arbitration. Arbitration is the process of settling a labor management dispute by having an independent third party, either a single arbitrator or a panel arbitrators, make a decision that is final and binding on the union and employer. The arbitrator reviews the grievance at a hearing and then makes the decision, which is presented in a document called the arbitration award. Labor relations can make or break an organization. Great labor relations will make a business successful in the long run. A good understanding between employees and employers is important to reduce industrial disputes. A positive relationship between employers and employees leads to higher motivation and employee engagement. When employees are happy, they are more productive. They will put more effort into their work. This translates into satisfied customers and more revenue. While developing and maintaining good labor relationships can be challenging in most workplaces, Healthy relationships among workers are beneficial not only to the individuals but to the entire organization. Managers should set a good example when it comes to labor relations. When managers have a good working relationship with their employees, it will help establish a culture that encourages great labor relations. The purpose of great labor relations is to establish and strengthen the employee and employer relationship. This can be achieved by measuring employee satisfaction, identifying and resolving workplace issues, and providing input in support to the performance management system of the company. The most successful organizations around the world are those that pay attention to labor management. It is important to create an environment where the employees can use their skills to the fullest. It is only when employees feel that their contribution is valued, respected, that such an environment is created. If the workers don't get any recognition for their efforts, they are much more likely to become disillusioned. Organizations that invest in good labor relations, however, can witness numerous benefits.
The benefits of great labor relations.
Number 1. Growth and development. A harmonious relationship between employees and employers contributes to economic growth and development. This leads to an increase in efficiency. Greater efficiency, in turn, leads to higher productivity and growth. It is important to keep the employees motivated if organizations want to get the best from them. Workers lacking in motivation will reduce productivity in a workplace. When employees have a positive relationship with their managers, they will work more efficiently. They will put their best efforts to ensure the success of the project. Organizations that have harmonious relationships will be able to ensure continuity of production. Proper use of resources ensures maximum production. Employees will be motivated to work hard, and this will help the organization grow. Number 2. Reduction in turnover. Labor relations is the backbone of any business. Poor labor relations will affect productivity and result in high employee turnover. It is only when employees feel valued that they will use their skills and experience to the fullest to contribute to the growth of a company. Organizations that have good labor relations provide higher wages and other attractive benefits. It is often in the best interest of the employee to stay with such an organization. Even if the employee is not 100% satisfied with their company, employees are less keen to suddenly abandon a company for another when they are happy with their work environment. A pleasant work environment improves employee morale and motivation. Most employees who work in companies are in the high retention risk category. The critical skills that they possess help the company progress, and the cost of replacing a skilled employee can be extremely high. Employees are less likely to leave an organization, however, if those skills are recognized and rewarded. It is the responsibility of the company to create an engaging work environment. This will make the employees feel valued. The cost of recruitment, hiring, and training will come down with lower employee turnover. Number 3. Employees have extensive knowledge of company practices. The reduction in turnover ensures that employees stay with the company for longer. This enables them to gain extensive knowledge of company policies, practices, and processes. Employees with substantial institutional knowledge are an excellent resource. They are highly skilled, very efficient, and can provide training for new employees. Most companies find it hard to replace experienced employees. This is especially true in industries that rely on employees with highly special skills. Number 4. Enhanced motivation. Disengaged employees can cost organizations millions of dollars in lost productivity. Companies that have engaged workers experience higher productivity. Organizations need to ensure that their workers feel empowered and appreciated. Good employee relations increase morale and motivation. Number 5. Increase in revenue. Great labor relations will have positive impact on the growth and revenue of a company. The benefits of a happier, healthier work environment are not only felt with the business, but by the customer or end user too. More engaged and motivated employees tends to result in greater customer satisfaction, better products and services, which also tends to point an increase in sales. Number 6. Conflict reduction. Workplace issues and conflicts are common. Conflicts are inevitable in any organization. These can range from complaints about discriminatory employment practices to working conditions. Conflicts at the workplace will have an adverse impact on the productivity of a company. It is likely to contribute to an environment of distrust between employees and employers, and this can affect efficiency. Investigating, meditating, and resolving employee complaints will help in creating a good work environment. When the work environment is pleasant and efficient, it will reduce conflict in the workplace. Conflict reduction will help employees concentrate in their work. This will increase productivity. Resolving conflicts becomes easier when managers work on fostering relationships with employees so that they are on the same page. Organizations that have fewer conflicts have higher morale. Employees will be motivated to give their best. Employee turnover also slows down when there is less conflict in the workplace. The work environment becomes stable and happy, and this will improve the overall work culture of the organization. Number 7. Employee loyalty. When a pleasant and productive work environment is created, it will have an effect on the loyalty of the employee. The work environment will encourage a loyal workforce. Companies that have such a workforce will be able to improve employee retention. Organizations that have a good employee relationships at the workplace will be able to boost efficiency. Strong labor relations will go a long way in increasing the productivity of an organization. Increase in productivity will result in an increase in income and profits.
Employee, supervisor, and administrator labor relations questions are responsible for collecting and analyzing employee data, organizing and updating employee files, overseeing employee orientation and training, among other duties. Addressing union organizing and employee representation matters give workers the power to negotiate for more favorable working conditions and other benefits through collective bargaining. Contract policy and procedure consultation, interpretation, and administrations. Policies and procedures provide a roadmap for day-to-day operations. They ensure compliance with laws, regulations, give guidance for decision-making, and streamline internal process. Collective bargaining. The process and procedures that companies may implement in order to manage the negotiation, execution, performance modifications, and terminations of contract with various parties, including customers, vendors, distribution, and contractors. Grievance, administration, investigation, mediation, and arbitration. There's resolution of a dispute as to an alleged violation of a term of a collective bargaining agreement. Labor management relations and meetings. Labor management meetings are mechanisms to discuss items that can relieve problems in the workplace, making a better environment for all. Labor management informal conflict resolution is an approach that allows the parties involved to stay in control of the process and negotiate and settle on solutions that work for everyone. Administrator and management training are qualities that help you complete tasks related to managing a business. Union requests for information. Before it files a grievance to decide if a grievance exists, example, an employee claims that there is an unfair distribution of overtime in her department. The union steward can request a departmental overtime log or payroll record to see if this is true.
Thank you for listening. We hope you enjoy our discussion. This is the Group 4 presenters. Thank you once again and God bless us all.